Not every conversation needs to be loud. Not every disagreement needs to become hostile. And not every man is interested in spectacle. The society of ordinary gentlemen exists for those who believe that courtesy still matters, that restraint is a strength, and that how one conducts himself, especially when it is inconvenient, is a measure of character. This is not a platform for self-promotion. It is a place for thoughtful discussion, mutual respect, and personal accountability. The Society of Ordinary Gentlemen is an online community with the mission of cultivating modern gentlemen by teaching skills, habits, and mindsets that elevate personal style, communication, health, and lifestyle through community, courses, and mentorship. Membership is open to adults willing to uphold these standards.
Welcome to the Gentleman of Faith podcast. I am Anthony Buntyn, the host of the Gentleman of Faith podcast, and it is indeed an honor to be with you today. We are going to end this series today, as we've been doing for the past couple of podcasts, is talking about the art of gentleman speaking, and it has been very informative. I've got a lot of positive feedback on this. So we're going to jump right into this because there's a couple things that we have been discussing. There have been some things that I know that people had questions about. And so hopefully that we can get some clarity on this. Today, I want to talk about the lost art of civility and connection as a gentleman. In a world of instant communication and fragmented attention, the gentleman's commitment to civility, respect, and general connection has become a rare and valuable skill. It's not about rigid etiquette alone, but about cultivating a mindset that honors others and fosters meaningful interaction. This is important for us because as gentlemen, we want to be engaged in conversations that are meaningful. We want to be respectful in that aspect of how we communicate with people. We talked about the core principles of a gentleman's code. We want to be honorable. We want to be courteous. We want to be chivalrous. And these are the qualities of a true gentleman. We want to honor the fact that acting with integrity, honesty, and respect for yourself and for others. We want to be respectful. We want to treat people as equals. We want to value their time, their ideas, and their dignity. We want to act in kindness. We want to offer warmth and empathy, and we want to be supportive without expectation in return. This is the sad part about today, is that anytime a gentleman is being respectful, being courteous, people want to take it as they expect something in return. And that's not, as a gentleman, we're not like that. We don't do things because we expect something in return. So many people, because you open the door for a lady, some take it as, oh, well, you're trying to make an advancement on me. Or because when you're talking to your boss, you're being respectful. You're giving them that respect. Yes, sir. No, sir. He's kissing up. He's trying to get a promotion. He's trying to get a raise. He's trying to get that first shift. They don't understand that because as a gentleman, that is how we are. That is the way we talk. That is the way we conduct ourselves. And because it's so rare nowadays, when somebody sees this type of interaction, this type of involvement, they assume that that person is doing it for personal gain. And so we want people to see us as a gentleman and not that we expect something in return. When we're engaged in the gentleman's art of conversation, honing in on our skills as gentlemen, we want to listen to understand. We talked about this in the last couple of episodes about when people start talking, so many people quit listening and they start building a response or building a defense. We want to avoid that. We want to listen, understand. The best thing you can do is you want to seek curiosity and open up commentary. Ask open-ended questions about what they're talking about. You say, really? That's very interesting. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Or, I never heard that. Can you explain this to me? Because when you do that, you are showing that person that you are genuinely interested in what they have to say. You are letting them know that you value their conversation. And I'm telling you something, they remember that. When you give them their time and let them speak and you turn around and respond with questions to what they're talking about, that lets them know that you were genuinely interested and you were engaged in the conversation that they had with you. That is what they're going to remember. They're going to remember that gentleman that took the time to not just be present, but to listen to him. So when you ask these questions, you also want to be uplifted and you want to clarify. So many people get into this habit where they want to one up somebody or they want to respond in sarcasm. That is so degrading, demeaning. It shows self importance of yourself and not the person that you're talking to. I'll give you an example. Person you're talking to says, me and my wife last weekend, we went to the beach. We went to Savannah, Georgia, just on the weekend, just to get away and go to the beach. And then you turn and say, well, you know what? Last month, me and my wife went to the Bahamas. There is no need in trying to up somebody. Too many people do this all the time. They constantly want to try to one up the person that they're engaged in conversation with. And the other thing that they want to do is they want to use sarcasm. Somebody that you're in a conversation with, they say, I got a 10% raise in my evaluation from last year. And then you turn around and say, well, it's about time. You only been there for 10 years. That's on like 1% a year. You don't have to respond with sarcasm. Instead, say, that great. That I'm glad that they gave you a 10% raise and that they're seeing the value that you have to that company. These are the type of things I'm talking about. You don't want to try to one up somebody, and you don't want to use sarcasm when responding. That's not part of having that open end conversation. The other thing is, when that person stops talking, does not mean that you have to immediately respond. Now, get it. Trust me, I've been there and I'm still working on it. I'm still getting there. For some reason, we feel that moment of silence becomes awkward and that we have to respond to something. Let those few seconds pass. It's beneficial for you and for them. It's beneficial for you because that gives you a chance to soak in what that person said so you can respond in a positive and uplifting way, and you can bring about those opening questions to let them know that you're engaged in what they have said to you. It's also beneficial to them because it gives them a chance to reflect on what they said to you. So, and I get it, especially when it comes to like in a small meeting or with a group of people, somebody's giving a presentation, they'll ask a question and you're looking around and nobody is responding. I hate that. It is so awkward for me. And I feel that I have to say something. Number one, I feel like I have to say something because I know what it's like being a presenter and you ask a question, nobody responds. It's an uneasy feeling. So I figure that I have to respond so I can help that presenter get off the hook and give them a sense of comfort. And then I've also been sitting there and it's like, that silence is unawkward. Do I need to say something because no one else is stepping up? I've had to learn to try to refrain from doing that all the time because usually when I do that, then I'll start questioning myself. Am I talking too much? Am I responding too much? Because I hate that silence that goes on because nobody responds. But the reality is that's what happens. You want to embrace that silence for a little bit. If nobody responds and you feel that you need to, that's fine. But not as soon as somebody quits talking that you feel that you have to respond. And stay present with the person you're talking to. We just had this discussion in the Society of Ordinary Gentlemen yesterday. I posted on two different posts, two different communities, the Society of Ordinary Gentlemen and another community. And I asked a question. There's been a lot of new things, new gadgets, but there's been very little protocol concerning these things. I said one is AirPods. When you have AirPods in your ear and somebody approaches you, what is the protocol? Should you remove your AirPods or should you just leave them in? I asked this on two different platforms, two community platforms, and I was surprised because in the other platform, I got responses like, well, as long as you're not listening to something, it's okay, leave them in your ear. It's no big deal. Somebody said, well, I use it from hearing aid. And I get that. Believe me, I get that. Some people do use AirPods now as to aid in hearing because with the new technology, you can do that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking. If you need that to help you hearing, that's great. I'm all for it. But what I'm talking about is for those people that are using it to could listen to music, or they're talking on the phone with somebody, or they're scrolling through the internet or something, do you remove those from your ear? Excuse me. Like I said, in the other community, I got responses like, it doesn't matter, as long as you're not speaking, it's okay. But when it came to society and ordinary gentlemen, most of them said proper protocol is to remove your AirPods or you remove your headsets unless you're using them as a hearing device. And gentlemen, that's is the correct response. That's what we should be doing. If you're not using those for a hearing device, if you're listening to music or you're trolling through videos or whatever, and somebody approaches you, remove the AirPods or remove the headsets from you, so that person knows that you are totally committed to the conversation you're getting ready to get involved in with them. I told them of a situation that I heard before where one person had these headphones, AirPods in their ear, and they were talking to somebody. They were talking on the phone with them. Another person came up to him and had a conversation about a personal matter. And during that whole time was still on the line with that person. So that meant that that person on the phone heard that whole conversation. The person that was doing the talking was none the wiser of it. And that is very bad protocol. You should never do that. You should never allow somebody's personal business to be aired out where other people can hear. And so that's why the people, the men in the gentleman society, the society of ordinary gentlemen, most of them said you should remove those AirPods. That lets that person know that you engage solely with them and that whatever you are talking about is going to remain between the two of you. So you want to stay present. That's more bothersome and disheartening is when you're talking to somebody, they get a text or they get a notification and they pull their phone and they start messing with their phone. And they're like, oh, no, go ahead. I'm listening. No, you're not. You're engaged on what's on that phone. Gentlemen, be respectful. If it's not important, that can wait until that person that you're talking to is done. Now, what I mean by that is if you're talking to somebody and you get a text message because your girlfriend said, wants to know how come you didn't respond to the text 5 minutes ago that she sent you, that is not important because you are in a physical and verbal communication with somebody standing right in front of you. Now, if you're talking to somebody and that phone starts ringing and you're not expecting a phone call and you look at it and it says mom 911 or your wife 911, yes, obviously there's an emergency. You say, can you just give me 1 second? I got to take this important phone call. It's an emergency. People understand that. But if it's not an emergency, gentlemen, wait until you're finished talking to that person. I've got to now where I keep my phone on vibrate. If I'm holding my phone in my hand, looking at something, respond to an email or something, which I've cut back so much on the digitalization in my life. But if I have my phone in my hand and somebody walks up to me, I automatically take my phone and put it in my pocket, in my coat pocket. And I leave it there until I am done with that conversation with that person. And I have it on vibrate, so I'm not interrupted. If I feel it vibrate, if it's important, I'll call them as soon as I get done. But I want that person that's in front of me to know that they have my undivided attention. That what's most important for me right now is the person that's standing in front of me. And that's what I've been trying to do since the beginning of this year is be more analog in my life to stray away from the digitized stuff that goes on in my life and to be more in tune and more present when I'm talking to people, even my communications. I'm back to handwriting responses, handwriting thank you letters. I'm trying to get back into be more personable with people. When you go to conferences and meetings, you want to be engaged in that. You want to create a sense of belonging. You want to let those people know that you belong there and that you are present. It provides a break from the daily life. When you can get involved in these type of events that are going on, it is very beneficial to what is going on. When you're engaged in a conversation with people, you want to keep the timeless etiquette that we all grew up with, saying please and thank you. When you meet somebody, you want to give them a firm handshake. not one of these little wet, wimpy handshakes. You want to give them a firm handshake. You want to make eye contact. You don't want to be looking around. You want to look them dead in their eyes, give a firm handshake and a firm greeting. And but at the same time, you want to maintain that personal space. You don't want to get all up in somebody's face. And if it is a situation that you're having a disagreement with somebody, you definitely want to not get in their personal space. You want to respect their boundaries. You want to talk pleasant. You don't want to use profanity and curse words. Now, having said that, I want to talk just briefly about the use of profanity. As a man of faith, whatever faith you have, profanity should never be your primary language. I'm going to say it again. It should not be your primary language. I said this in the last podcast that your vocabulary is a currency of your intelligence. My dad and my grandfather used to tell us all the time that when you constantly use curse words, you let people know the level of your intelligence. You let them know that there are no other adjectives or words that you can use to describe without using profanity. Now, there's been a discussion that people have had for a long time, is cussing a sin? And the answer is yes and no. Well, what do you mean by yes and no? Okay, first of all, it's not the word, it's the noise that it makes. And what I mean by the noise that it makes, the way it's being said and the terminology is being used. Okay, let's be real for a second. I'm giving an example. If I say poop, that's not offensive. If I say crack, that's not offensive. If I say dookie, that's not offensive. But if I use the word shit, that becomes offensive because of the way that it's being used. Okay, so that is what it's not the word, it's the noise it creates, the offense that it creates when you say these things. Now, for example, we all know a name for a female dog, the medical terminology, if you will, for a female dog. That's what it's called. But when you use that to describe a woman or another man, any type of human being, that is derogatory, and that is what's wrong. Even that word that we just talked about a few seconds ago, when used in a derogatory way, is wrong. Now, when we talk about cursing, biblical sense, the cursing was not using those type of words. Cursing was when you would say something that would bring that you wish bad upon somebody. That was considered cursing back then. Back then, they didn't have the type of what we call curse words today. When they used the term cursing, they were talking about if you use any type of words that is meant to bring affliction on somebody. And that's why the Bible says you should not curse them. You should not wish bad things on somebody. Okay. So if I say, wish you get hemorrhoids, that is cursing. I am wishing bad things to happen upon you. Okay. And it also goes to like swearing. What swearing is cursing. In the biblical sense, it's not. Okay. In the biblical sense, they're talking about swearing. It says that you should not give allegiance to anything other than God. And so back then they were swearing on the moon. They were swearing on an idol. And that's what talked about swearing. That's why they said, let your yes be yes and your no be no. Okay. What he was saying is don't swear, don't give allegiance to anything other than God. Anything other than God or himself, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit is one. Okay. That's what he was talking about. You should not give allegiance or promises, which is probably a better word, to anything other than God, because that is swearing. You are getting a promise to God. God, I promise that I would do better. I promise. And he was saying that don't promise unto anything other than God. Because number one, we know that if you make a promise to God, you better be willing to keep it. Okay. So that's what the whole cursing and swearing is about. I'm not saying that just because it's not a sin to use those words, I'm not saying to go out there and use them blatantly and freely. That is not what I'm saying, gentlemen. Excuse me. What I'm saying is that don't focus on whether it's a swear word or not. As a gentleman, we should avoid those things. As a man of faith, whatever faith you hold, as a gentleman, you should not be using those on a frequent basis. That is what I'm talking about. And if you use these positive things. Please, thank you, with sincerity. You're going to avoid using these other words. And think about who you're talking to and what you're saying. Let me say this right quick. When you tell somebody to go to hell, if you really knew what hell was, why would you wish that on anybody? That is cursing. You putting a curse on somebody. You want to avoid those things. So, and why does it matter today? Because in today's culture, it, the culture is often defined as self-promotion and a service level interaction. The gentleman's approach to this should stand out as a breath of fresh air. People should enjoy seeing you. People should like to see you. Okay. People should be sad when you leave. They should be sad because they enjoyed your conversation to the point where they are looking and anticipating another meeting with you. You should leave to where people are wanting to see you again. They want to make that connection again. That's what I mean about being that breath of fresh air. You want people to remember how they felt, not just about what you said. You made them feel welcome. You made them feel heard. You made them feel respected. You made them feel like they have a sense of self-worth. You made that connection and you want to make that lasting relationship. The lost art of civility and connection as a gentleman, it's about showing up with integrity. It's about listening with empathy, and it's about engaging with warmth and respect. This is something that I had to learn for a long time. And one thing that helped me do this is being a member of the Society of Ordinary Gentlemen. They have helped me in my walk of being a gentleman and also in my walk of faith. And I said this before when I first got in the military. I cursed like a storm. I cursed like a sailor. I had to work on that. When I started this journey, when I began to looking at myself, how I was living, what I was saying, what I was doing, I wanted to get better. And one thing I learned being in society where gentlemen, because in that society, these are men that are gentlemen all the time, not just in words, in action, how they live. They are like this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year after year after year. These are gentlemen that are real gentlemen. And I love it because when I get into society and I have these communications with gentlemen, they even have a live lounge where you can get in there and you can physically, through video, communicate with other gentlemen around the world. They have members in Australia, in Italy, in Spain, in Egypt, in Africa, all over the world, and you get a chance to engage in conversation. You get a chance to learn from other gentlemen around the world. It helped me so much in my communication. I've learned so much from these gentlemen. I've expounded not just in my vocabulary, but how I say things, when I say things, and to what extent I say things. I'm telling you, the society is the best place to be. It is free, and I'm going to tell you how to get there. There's two ways you can get there. You can go to the website at www.beagentleman.org. You can read all about the society. At the top, it says join here. Click on that, and it's going to take you to another place called school, SKOOL.com. And it's going to take you right to where you can join the society. Listen, gentlemen, the society is not about a fraternity. It's not a Facebook page. It's not a fan page. It's not just a rare community. It is an actual society. These are a society of real gentlemen. So the questions are to help filter out those who are trying to get in because they want to promote their self-business. It's to prevent these automatic responses, these bots from getting in. But it's also designed to weed out those that are not really seriously about wanting to become gentlemen. Those who are just looking for a place to just hang out and just talk about things randomly and stuff. Because I'm telling you, in society, they have some in-depth discussion. They talk about politics. They talk about sports. They talk about fashion and style. They talk about what we've been talking about being a gentleman. They talk about fragrances. That's how I learned about Carolina Best, one of our friends and sponsors. When I got into the society and wanting to learn about how to dress and style and stuff, I also wanted to learn about fragrances. And I would listen to these gentlemen talk about the type of colognes that they wear. And that started inspiring me. I knew of Carolina Best when I lived in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I got some from them a while back. So when I started getting into this journey and started listening to these men talk about fragrances and stuff, what I would do is I'd listen to them and I was like, oh, wow. Next time I went to the mall or Ulta, wherever, JCPenney's, Burlington, if I saw that cologne, I would ask for a sample and I'd smell it. And if I really like it, I would go home and I'd get on Carolina Best website, www.carolinabest.com, and I would type in that cologne and see if they had it. They have over 400 different fragrances. Everything that's current that you like. For example, I kept hearing about Creed Aventus. I heard so many positive things. I just happened to be at the mall. I saw it. I asked if I could have a sample of it. I got a chance to smell it. It was phenomenal. Went home, went to www.carolinabest.com, put it in there, and they have it. I got an 8 milliliter bottle for $10. Gentlemen, I'm not talking about alcohol base where you spray it on and lasts for about an hour or two and it dissipates. No, I'm talking about these are like Eau de Parfum. It is mostly oil. So when you put it on, it lasts all day. And I got it for a fraction of the cost. Creed Aventus is about $300. You're lucky you might be get it for $250 on sale. I got an 8 milliliter bottle for $10 and it lasts a long time. I mean, I use it, it lasts all day. At those prices, hey, you can have a collection of cologne. You can have all your fragrant ones. And even your wife. If your wife likes fragrances, they have ladies collection. They have Valentino, they have Eternity, they have everything that a lady likes, they have it there. And you can get it for the same price. They have body washes. They have oils for oil lamps in your house. They have it all. And I would have known this if I had to start this journey. So I'm telling you, gentlemen, if you're interested and you want to learn more about being a gentleman, you want to learn more about fragrances and colognes and stuff, 2 places you can go to get you started and get you what you need. And that's Society of Ordinary Gentlemen at www.beagentleman.org. And if you want to learn about fragrances, you want to get some at a great price, go to Carolina Best, www.carolinabest.com. Both of these sites will give you the jump that you need to start on your journey. Gentlemen, I'm telling you, this is the best thing. Tell your friends all about the society. Look, if you can't watch it on video because you're at work or you're traveling, we were on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, Deezer. All you got to do is type in Gentleman of Faith Podcast, or you can go to YouTube. You go to my channel, The Modern Gentleman, or you can go to the Society, www.beagentleman.org. When you get on there, they have both the Gentleman's Forum and you can get it there too. And all these are great places to catch these podcasts, share with your friends, your family, your relatives. Gentlemen, I'm telling you, this is our time right now. We have an opportunity to let people know and to show people what real gentlemen are about. And I thank you for being a part of the Gentleman of Faith podcast. It's always a pleasure to spend time with you. I challenge you to be the best version of a gentleman that you can be. And I look forward for you to joining the Society of Ordinary Gentlemen. Let them know that you saw it on this podcast. Mention my name. They'll make sure that they get a hold of me. We'll get you in. You will not be disappointed. So, gentlemen, have a blessed day. Thank you for being a part of the Gentleman of Faith podcast. And I look forward to seeing you again. Have a blessed day and God bless you.